Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Camp Rokilio. This is an exciting day, one that we've all been anticipating for many years, actually. And so I really am happy to see all of you turn out today for what's a beautiful fall day and some really exciting events here for the Bay Lakes Council and for all the youth that make up our great organization. I'm Michael Weber. I am the chair of our properties for the Bay Lakes Council. I serve on the board of directors, and it's my pleasure to help facilitate the event today. I'm going to turn it over to Austin from Troop 843 in Oostburg to present the colors, and it's very fitting. Just want to introduce the young man who's going to be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. This camp, Camp Rokilio, is the entrance to our scouting program. This is where the youngest of youth cut their teeth on what scouting is and the great program that it is. And so it's great that we have with us one of our youngest scouts, Noah Seidman, and he is a lion cub. For those of you who aren't familiar, lion cubs can start when they're in kindergarten at the age of 5 years old. And so Noah has graciously volunteered to help lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance as well. So welcome, Noah, and welcome all of you. Please stand if you're not already for the presentation of the colors.
Color guard attention. Color guard forward march. Color guard post the colors. Please join Noah, or salute. Please join Noah in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ready to? Color guard, you may be dismissed. Audience, you may be seated.
So thank you, Noah. Great job. And that will be one of many, many experiences that you get to have here at this camp and as a part of the scouting program. I mentioned that this is sort of the entrance to the camping and the scouting experience for our youth. And I recognize that some of you may not be familiar with the Bay Lakes Council and our many camp properties. Camp Rokilio is one of 4 major camp properties that we have throughout the council that year-round serves as a classroom, really, for this great program that we have called scouting that brings our youth together and grows them into our future leaders. It's a unique classroom setting, and what a great place it is. Looking around here today, I can't think of any place I'd rather be than out here. 22,000 youth in our Bay Lakes Council that we serve. It's just an incredible number of people that we can touch, and this first project in a growing future leaders campaign that will set the stage for a 10-year strategic plan for us is really a monumental day. The actual project here is a welcome center, which on the surface doesn't seem like, we're just welcoming people to the property, but we're welcoming people to scouting. As Noah and his fellow scouts get out of the car and they look at this vast environment that they get to play around in for the coming days as they experience scouting. This building will serve as the place where they go to identify with the scouting organization, in part because we're building a great museum into this facility as well, to show and display to not only the youth, but the parents and anyone who comes and sets foot on this property of the vast history that's associated with the Bay Lakes Council. And they'll get to walk through and see the generations and generations that have gotten to experience scouting here in the Bay Lakes Council. And it exemplifies the great and exciting times that lie ahead for these scouts as they start their experience here at Camp Rokilio. Before I turn it over to Dr. May, our president, to say a few more words about our Growing Future Leaders campaign, I would like to introduce some great partners in our Growing Future Leaders effort, and some great partners that have really made this building and this project come to life. And certainly first, I'd like to recognize Myron Construction. We set out to develop this strategic plan about 6 years ago, and we quickly realized that it takes some incredible talent to really hone in on how to develop not just a plan on what you're going to do with your buildings, but how do you look at yourself as an organization and really focus on delivering exemplary customer service and focus on the experience that each individual, when they come into our camp properties, has. And Myron Construction partnered with us to really help us see and help us bring that to life. So I want to recognize here today Steve Tynk and Craig Sachs. If you guys want to raise your hands. These two individuals have spent countless hours with us in really helping us and energizing the entire council, really, to get excited for this great campaign, this project, and the many other projects that are yet to come. Additionally, I want to thank David Voss from Myron Construction as well for all his support in helping make this happen. And additionally, we have here today Josh Mikulkavich, who will be the project executive for us on this project and others, as well as our superintendent of this site and this project, Bob Hefner, all from Myron Construction. But those are the names I mentioned. There's a whole lot of other people within the Myron organization that have really helped to support this project. So I'd like to give a round of applause to Myron Construction. Additionally, you can't build a building like this without the knowledge and expertise of some great architects. And we've been very blessed to have Greece Architectural Group volunteer many, many hours in their time and their patience, I will say, as we moved walls and changed our mind on what we wanted to do with this building. Steve and his son Brandon Greece have been instrumental in helping us to get to where we are today. So Steve, I see you back there. Thank you very much for your help and your organization. And then finally, Builders First Source, an organization led by Pete Hartman. And Pete was a great partner with us to help us to find building materials and really work with a lot of the suppliers of building materials throughout the Fox Valley to help us to get to where we needed to be financially with this project. And so we really couldn't have done it without Pete and all of your help on this project, so thanks, Pete. And Voss Electric, Bill Bain and Randy Smits, I think, is here representing Voss. They're doing a lot of work for us from an electrical standpoint and will continue to be a great partner for us as we move through this process as well. So thank you to Voss Electric. So again, Growing Future Leaders is a long-range plan for us. And it's our way of ensuring that we are going to be here in a presence that will help support the youth of the Bay Lakes Council for many years to come. Leading that effort for the last 2 years has been a great individual who has led not only the board, but the greater Bay Lakes Council in this direction and really helped to get a foot in the ground as far as our strategic plan goes. So I want to introduce to you Dr. Susan May, who you may know as the president of the Fox Valley Technical College, but also our president of the Bay Lakes Council. Dr. May?
Thank you so much, Mike. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here this afternoon. Delighted to see all of you here. So Mike mentioned the Growing Future Leaders campaign. It's a capital campaign as well as a strategic plan for this council. And what it will support really is a comprehensive plan that will impact all of our camping properties. This Welcome Center will literally be the entry point for the families we serve in the Scouting program, as Mike mentioned. This is where our Scouting family's outdoor experience begins. It's where the pages of the Scouting Handbook first come to life for our youngest Scouting members, Scouts like Noah. Today marks the first step of many to enhance the camping experiences that we will offer well into the future for our Scouting families. Mike previously acknowledged our outstanding construction partners, and I add my thanks to all of you as well. You all have been awesome in this process. But it's my pleasure to recognize two of our key donors and supporters for this wonderful project. First, please join me in showing our appreciation and gratitude to Mr. Bob Van Dyke. Bob, where are you? Raise your hand, please. There you are. Thank you so much. We truly appreciate your support, Bob. Thank you. And it's also my pleasure to recognize Mr. David Ertl, someone who is no stranger to the Bay Lakes Council. Dave's support of Scouting can be found in many places, including the Ertl train station right here at Camp Rokilio and the Ertl shooting sports area at Bear Paw Scout Camp. Thank you, Dave, and please welcome him as he comes forward to share a few thoughts with us for this special occasion. Dave, you're on.
I left my Philadelphia Eagle hat at home and decided to put the Packers hat on. There we go. Don't want to rub it in. Don't want to rub it in. There you go. I was asked to, give a few thoughts and words about, what this property with this camp, has meant to me over my lifetime. And it's pretty easy. As Dale and I got to drive around and, things click again, like, was it 7 decades ago, if you will, when we kind of started this whole thing? I mean, guys, I really am an old guy. And hopefully I stay looking halfway young, but I've been around here for a long, long time. The Scouting program has been incredible to me. And so there's nothing more that my wife and I want to do is to constantly try to give back, something to Scouting. Rokilio and the camping program in Sheboygan County and then Kettle Moraine Council and eventually Bay Lakes Council, gave me the chance to, fail and have fun. And that's one thing I think our youth today don't get enough chance of, to fail. I'm not an Eagle Scout. I'm not an Eagle Scout. I have 2 Eagle sons, and I'm incredibly proud of them, but I'm a life for life, as they call it. I failed in Cedar Lake to get life-saving, okay, right? The Green Bay Packers, 2 linebackers were there trying to dunk me all the time, right? No, I just was not much of a swimmer at all, and it wasn't Green Bay Packers. It was only the Sheboygan Falls linemen that actually came. But I didn't. I did not succeed, but I loved every minute at camp. I've always had a chance to work. I've worked since the earliest possible years, and today you can't imagine a 9 or a 10-year-old working, but I've always worked, be it an egg route where you earn 5 cents to deliver a dozen eggs, my paper route, setting pins in a bowling alley in Random Lake for 7.5 cents a line, right? I've always wanted to work, but I had a chance in an interview with Paul Salerno, who was a Scout executive, was in 1959. And that was a nerve-wracking experience as a 14-year-old to go in there for a real interview for a real job. And I didn't know what they might want or get a chance to do. I got hired. Can you picture this as the ASM of the troop site, if you will, that was provisional, right? I'm the assistant scoutmaster at age 14 to run a provisional site here at Camp Rokilio. It's impossible today, right? And work laws alone would say you couldn't do it, but it's impossible. But it was, what an incredible opportunity. So then I come up here for staff week. Oh, by the way, anybody know what I was making? $15 a week, $105 for the summer. Wow, right? I mean, that was big money to a 14-year-old, believe me. So we come up here for staff week, all right, really excited, and what do? But horsing around, I tear the ligaments in my knee and knock the whole baby out of the socket, and I'm done for the summer, right? I'm going to be sent home. Somehow we convinced doctors or whatever, and the camp directors, Ken DeSombre, I think it was, give this kid a little bit more time, and they gave me a cot in the kitchen, right, to see if I could recuperate over a couple weeks. And then I'm up on crutches and I'm limping around, and they said, look, the guy in the trading post, Brunke, he could go out to the site and be the ASM. I could run the trading post. So I hopped over from where the old dining, not the current dining hall, but where the old dining hall was, right, down in the bowl area near the lake, right, and on crutches, you hop on over and you run the trading post. And by the last week of summer camp, I got to do 1 week out in the campsite as, quote, the ASM. But what an incredible experience, again, as a young man, being given that kind of responsibility and have a ball and have a blast doing it, and everybody sticks with you and allows you to have that chance in life. So that's just one example, and I know I can ramble on and on and on and on about my experiences up here, but I just want to share those moments with you that were so special to me and helping shape a lot of my life. Why this project? Doggone good question. If we go back, Dale, how long? 10 years? 12 years ago?
It's been 14 years since Mike Serba gave me permission to start it, so it's actually a couple years prior to that.
All right. So, some guys know that I collect a few things from scouting memorabilia, right? And my wife probably says I have 10,000 patches or whatever over a lifetime. I've always saved patches. I've always traded patches. Even in 1961 at Bear Paw, when I went to the 7A conference, I'm sitting there trading patches. My first flat from Wolverine Lodge 501, I just pinned on because I didn't want to ever have a sewn patch. They always had to look really, really, really sharp. So Dale and I talked one night. I said, look, someday they're going to replace the trading post here at Rokilio. And wouldn't it be great if we just did an add-on room to the new trading post to make a museum? Right? And that was our whole dream or thought along the journey. Right. A number of scout executives have come and gone during that period of time. Right. And Jason gives me a call one day and said, you know, there's a project concept we'd like to talk to you about. And I'm honestly thinking it's a little trading post with a room attached to it. And wasn't it November 1 last year exactly? Was it exactly a year ago today, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay. We're up to Myron headquarters, right? And honestly, I didn't have the scope for all what was being talked about, and here goes the presentation. And guys, you've been up to their headquarters. What a fantastic organization, what a fantastic business. But, you know, how many screens you guys got to show pictures at one time? 12, 14, and 20, right? Bang, bang, here's what we're going to do at Gardner Dam. Here's what we can do up at Hiawatha Land. Here's what Rokilio and this, and then boom, boom, boom. And I'm going, where's my trading post? Where's my trading? Well, it's not really a trading post, it's fine. Kind of what we're seeing here today. I went, whoa, you know, whoa. I mean, a little bit time out. It really is overwhelming. But once you got to listen to the story of where these guys are helping us all figure out how to deliver the program in a far better way, in a different way. Because I'm a dinosaur, right? I know scouts from the first 100 years. I don't know what it's going to be like the next 100 years. But someone is thinking about scouting and the delivery of scouting over that next 100 years. And I'm so happy someone is, because, you know, I don't have those kinds of forethought or visions or ideas. But I thank all of you who have been introduced today that have already played such a significant role in this project. And the third component of just to say a few words on, I got to get an advertisement in for the museum part. Look, I know a lot of this is just patches, but there's history and significance behind so many of them. And I just grabbed a few of them that Dale just can't wait to put his hands on. But this little strip says Kettle Moraine on it. And back in the old days, we had, you know, the strips here. We didn't have councils per se, right? We had towns and cities and states on our shoulder. But for the 1935 Jamboree, but it didn't happen in 35, right? but there was a 1935 Jamboree plan, but it was canceled because of the polio epidemic in the country. But a couple of these were made, Kettle Moraine Council strips for the uniform. We only know of 2 that have survived anywhere. We don't even know if there's more than 2 made, but we only know of 2 in the country. And this will get to see the story told, in the museum. Up the road, from Sheboygan, where I lived, that area, Random Lake, was Manitowoc. And there was a Manitowoc Council, but there was a lodge up there, Sinawa, that started in 1934. In the early 40s, patches were being introduced into the Order of the Arrow. Flaps, as you know them in the Order of the Arrow, are really a vintage of the 60s and beyond. They didn't have flaps before the 60s, but back in the very early 40s, and remember, this council and this lodge was really small. Manitowoc, for all practical purposes, back in the 30s and the 40s. And they came up with an idea that when you got tapped out into the Order of the Arrow, you would get this pledge patch. And there were 6 of these made back in the very early 40s. And think of how many scouts would have qualified for the OA with going to summer camp in the 1940s while the bombs are going off around the world. So we're not talking about a big number, but there were 6 of these that were made. And you only got this loaned to you when you got tapped out, because when you went and took your ordeal, lo and behold, you got the ordeal one. So you turned this one back in. You got to keep the ordeal, but you turned the pledge one back in. And then you go to Brotherhood and a few vigils, and there's a whole story behind that. And Dale can't wait to get his hands on those too, right? In 1954, up in Oshkosh area, Day Nuke Lodge 244 sent 4 scouts out to Wyoming to the NOAC, National Order of the Arrow Conference. And there were 4 neckerchiefs made like this, if you will, that will go into the museum, and the story and the mom who made these neckerchiefs. My 2 favorites at the end. I mentioned I got inducted into Wolverine Lodge 501. Back in the 50s, when this lodge was born, 1953, adults really ran the lodges, not the youth as we so encourage today. And we came up with a flap that is, you maybe can't even see it, but for those that know what an Order of the Arrow flap looks like, it usually has your totem on it, usually has your name on it, maybe the council. You see anything on this thing, the answer is there's nothing on this thing. We hated it, but and we wouldn't wear it because it didn't say what our lodge was. We couldn't trade this with anyone because they all went, what is it? But what is it? Is this little piece of paper is what's more important than that patch. Father Peters, right, was the founder of Wolverine Lodge 501. And this is his schematic drawing, the original schematic drawing explaining what this is as a patch. Believe it or not, this center thing is a wolverine in Native American symbols like the Wolverine Mountain, like Indian Mountain State Park, kind of a thing, and the other nomenclature that goes with it. So this thin little piece of paper, right, is his original schematics in the design of that. Now, I don't know if I'm whetting your appetite or not, but I sure enjoy this stuff myself. And the very last piece before I stop my wanderings here, if you will, is my favorite piece in my collection. Now this you might be able to see a little bit and you go, what in the heck is that? That's my favorite piece in all of my collection. I mentioned it was 1953 that the Order of the Arrow started in Sheboygan County, or Kettle Moraine Council. Before that, around the country, there were some pre-OA societies, some of them secret societies, some of them the same principles as the Order of the Arrow. And believe it or not, this is the Order of the Camp Triangle, right, Society of Sheboygan Council. It is a second-tier Order of the Camp. And there's brochures, 1925, 26, 27?
25 has the first mention.
Okay, 25, 26, 27. So this patch dates around 1926, being a second-tier type situation. Magic piece of your cloth. Imagine how many people went through drawers and just threw that thing away because what is it? What is it? but we have 2 of them now, right, in total. We have a first year that's pretty ratty, well, right.
Better than nothing.
And we have a second year one that will go into the museum. So anyways, I just wanted to share a little bit of that with you before they go over to Dale, because this is all being delivered to Dale in the next few hours, I guess, along the way. So anyways, thank you for letting me ramble on and share my thoughts about this fantastic camp. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Thanks, Bob. Your contributions, will live on for many, many years and will impact an incredible number of youth. So thank you again. I think I speak for anyone who's ever talked to a past scouter like David, that if we could put you in the Welcome Center permanently, and you could speak to every youth that starts their camping experience and their scouting experience here, I think everyone would make it to the rank of Eagle Scout and continue to support the program. But because we know that's not practical, I can think of no better place than to put this museum facility than in our Welcome Center, where we're welcoming our youth to the scouting program. It really helps them to see what excitement lies ahead for them in the scouting program. So speaking of excitement, I'd like to introduce our Scout Executive, Jason Wolf, who's going to kick some other activities off here. So.
Thank you. What a grand and glorious day for scouting. Thank you, Lord Baden-Powell. Thank you to all of you for joining us today. A couple quick things. Over on this table, we've got some delicious edible cookies, and we have some camp cookies. And those cookies over there are branded today, and you can take that home with you as just a little memory of your experience here today. And also we have a shovel and also a very nice 2-person saw blade over there with some markers. We'd ask that before you leave, we'd like to capture your attendance here today by simply signing both of those items. We'll make sure those have a place as we move forward. One of the things in scouting that some of our scouts have no clue what I'm going to talk about, others of you do. When we talk about ashes of campfires, for many scouters, it's a tradition for them to take the ashes of a campfire and they put it in a little container and they hold that with them as they move through their scouting career. And they take those to other campfires and to jamborees and to other events, and they mix their ashes in with the campfire that they're having that night. Camp Rokilio has been here 94 years. That's a long time. I took Bo and we went down to the campfire ring and we filled a bucket of the ashes from the campfire ring of Camp Rokilio. And Nigel, if you could please, behind you, he's got a bucket of those ashes, and we're going to spread those on that campfire today. And my good friend Noah, where are you at? Noah's going to put a stick on the fire today. And as you leave today, there's also another pile of sticks there, and I'd ask you to put a stick on the fire. And just as you do that, go ahead, and as you look at a fire, you know that you've sat around the campfire just like myself in scouting for many, many hours, and you stare into that fire and you think about the people who are important to you, the things that you have done, and what scouting has brought into your life. We're going to take those memories that we have from the past and from today, and we'll move those forward. And we'll make this a part of our groundbreaking ceremonies and celebration as we move ahead with growing future leaders. Next, I'd like to invite Steve Grapentine to come up. And Steve, Tank, please come up. Both of you, both Steves. So 94 years this camp has been open. And Steve, on behalf of Steve and all the other partners here, we're going to give you this little thing of soda. Okay, there's some bottles in here. A recognition, and it's a small token of our appreciation for your fingerprints in your life that you have brought into this place, this Camp Rokilio. for 32 years, face these guys, you're more important than me. 32 years, this man has given of himself to serve our scouting family. And I'd just like to, it's not often that we get to recognize him in front of great people like yourself. Please, a round of applause.
Thank you, Jason. So the time has arrived where we actually get to break the ground. Woo! So yeah, this is it. We've been waiting for a while, right, Michael, for this? This is awesome. So if Dr. May would join us, and maybe Craig and Josh could come up and help with the hard hats and the shovels, that'd be great. Our board president, Dr. May, our council commissioner, Scott, if you could join us as well. Our treasurer, Patrick Hansen. Our council property chair, Mike Weber. Our capital campaign chair and a good friend, Bill Braun. If Brandon Marston want to come up, he's our council program chair. Our scout executive, of course, Jason. Our lead donor, Mr. Odell, as well as Bob Van Dyke. If Steve could join us, 32 years of history here at Camp Rokilio. It's amazing. If Pete Hartman could join us from Builder's First Source. If Randy Smith could join us. Randy is, of course, with Boss Electric. And Dale, if Dale could join us. Dale is our Bay Lakes Council Museum Chair. If our great neighbor, and scouting could not exist without great neighbors, Jack and Lori Leckler, if Jack and Lori are with us, thank you. Thank you, Jack, for coming up and for being here today. And where's Noah? Where's our superhero Noah, who is representing all scouts? You want to grab a hard hat for Noah? We need a hard hat for Jason. All right. Everybody have a shovel. And then we need everybody to move forward to the sand. So if you need to spread out to the left or right a little bit. Okay. Come on up to the front. Just a second. We've got to help Jack with his hard hat there. There you go, Jack. Really nice. Okay, and then you need a shovel, Jack. All right. Thank you, guys. All right, so here's what we're going to do. If everybody moves closest to the sand and get a shovel full of sand, and I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1, shovel. And so the goal is that we all shovel at the same time. Excuse me. Ready? So everybody grab some sand, hold it up, and then 3, 2, 1, shovel. All right, good job. We're going to do it again. We're going to do it again, everybody. Okay, grab some sand. Very nice. Hold your shovel up a little bit. 3, 2, 1, shovel. Good job, good job, good job. Are we good on the pictures, man? You got one? Okay, great. You get to keep the shovel. I don't know if you want to take that all the way back, Mr. Odell. Keep the hard hat if you like. And now we have a special treat planned. We're going to go a little off script. Mr. Odell, if you'd help us into the bulldozer, and our team will meet you over there. We have something special to share with you. Thank you all for your groundbreaking activities. Put your hands together for all of our friends. They're groundbreaking. Now, Jason, how long has the fruit stand been with us?
A long time.
Long time. Well, it's time for the fruit stand to go, because on the left-hand side, this is what's going to replace the fruit stand. So the team here at Camp Rokilio has done an amazing job of holding it together in this little fruit stand activity to greet people. Starting next year, Jason, we're going to start to greet people right here in this welcome center. So a completely different experience. So take it away, Mr. Odell.